Hello and welcome to this video on how to get started freehand crocheting. So I am a person who historically hates following instructions and patterns. So finding out that crochet, once I understood the basics, could just be something I literally just make up on the fly was the nicest thing ever. Honestly, it was a big surprise. So this video is if you, like me, just want to have a little bit more understanding on where to start with crochet. So I'm kind of assuming that you haven't really done too much yet, and how to get to the point where you can make beautiful things like this jumper. This was free-handed all the way around. I got some fun granny squares on the back and maybe a bucket hat, things like that, which I have really enjoyed the process of making. Now I don't know time-wise whether it would have been faster to follow a pattern, but for me, I'd rather spend time making mistakes and undoing it than counting rows. So yeah, I've definitely gotten way better at crochet through the process of learning to freehand and then freehand crocheting. Yeah, so without further ado, let's get into the video. Alright, so my number one tip if you are a beginner wanting to freehand crochet is learn basic stitches. In crochet we're very lucky, there's not that many, but once you put together just a single, a double crochet, a triple, all those little things make a beautiful array of stitches when placed in different sections, if that makes sense. So here's my example. I have got rows and rows. All of these are different stitches. We've got a little mesh stitch here, some nice long V stitches, granny squares. All of them are just made up of different variations of the same stitch, but because they are obviously put together in a different way, they just come out quite differently in the aesthetics of them. So learn the basics. Literally, I reckon start with a dishcloth where you are trying different, where you're trying different stitches as you go up the rows, and that will really increase your knowledge. Where to find the stitches would be YouTube. My favorite was TikTok, just scrolling linen peel stitch, da-da-da stitch, and then practicing it on something else that I decided to create. Keep it super small at the start because you don't want to get overwhelmed and throw it away and not continue going. But yeah, tip number one is try different stitches. My tip number two is learn how to do straight edges when you're doing panels. For me, a lot of my mistakes didn't come from the freehand element of it. It was the fact that I wasn't following a pattern or counting my rows, and then I didn't always have the same technique to finish and start a row on a panel piece. So if you have a look at this one, because of the way I constructed it, it was just row going this way, row going this way, row going this way. And because I didn't realize it at the time, but I would lose the stitch at the start down here on the right side or the left side, and then on the opposite side I would gain a stitch. So by the time I finished the first quarter of it, it was on a slant the whole way, and it was so annoying to undo. Did I undo it? I might not have. I think it's just the way it is, and it's baggy so you can't tell, but I know it's there. So look up some really good videos on, or just any video honestly, on how to start and end a row, whether you are finishing it and cutting your yarn or if you're continuing on to the next row. It's just going to be something that will actually change the way you crochet in the best possible way, because it's just going to be so much neater and more enjoyable, and you're not going to get halfway through a project and have lots of works in progresses hung up in your living room like I do that are just wonky and I don't want to finish them, and they're in mohair so you can't unpick them very well. Yeah, that is tip number two. And tip number three, super simple, is be okay making mistakes because of the way learning happens, right? If you are giving it a go, regardless of if you are following a pattern perfectly or if you are freehanding and literally just doing whatever you want, you are still going to learn so much. And honestly, all of my best learnings have come from messing things up. So this hat I have here is actually the second attempt at a bucket hat, because if you saw my previous or a while ago video, that was everything I crocheted as a beginner, I'll link it below. I made a bucket hat and it was so floppy, right? And I thought it was because I used too thin yarn, and I even said that, I'm like, it's just floppy, I don't like it, so I'm gonna remake it. And then I remade it. Turns out also floppy. So what I've learned is if you make a bucket hat, you actually need to reinforce it with something like a starch, or some people use glue, and I will probably be doing that. But I unpicked a whole hat, probably needlessly, even though this one's cute. I do like it, look at that, so sweet. When I could have just starched it. I don't know what that means, but I could have fixed it without undoing everything. But I learned a lot in the process. And the second bucket hat didn't have all the frills around the edge in the bad way. There was too many stitches, and the construction was so much neater. So all the little things you do, regardless of if they suck, they will help you learn. And the gorgeous, beautiful, amazing thing with crochet is most of the time you can unpick it and just start again. I have done that so many times, and I actually have a pile of things that I am going to unpick. I'm going to rewind and make into something else that I know I'll use. And that actually makes me really excited, because I'm like, I've got all this yarn just there. It looks like I've got a beautiful vest up there. I'm never going to wear it, so I will unpick it. And all of a sudden I have all this free yarn because I used it ages ago. Anyway, that is my tip. Don't get upset too much. Don't try not to get upset if you're making mistakes, because that is where the learning happens. And crochet isn't just a one and done thing. If you want to get good at it, you need to be patient, because it takes a long time. And the craft itself is just a timely one. It takes, I can't talk, it takes a lot of time to make something, and it also takes a lot of time to get over that initial beginner's curve or whatever with the learning. So give yourself some patience, release the need to get it all right and have everything look perfect, because I promise you it won't look perfect. It'll probably look great to other people, but if you're like me, like I see that 5-stitch thing in there that's not quite right, yeah, release perfect is probably my best tip, yeah, I'd say. Anyway, that's kind of all I have to say. There's probably people who can freehand crochet better than me, but I did this shirt freehand as well. I saw someone do it on TikTok and I was like, that looks easy enough, we'll give it a go, and it worked. So have faith in yourself that if you try, you will probably figure it out, each pattern. There is a limit to what you can learn without patterns, but I have not reached that limit yet. So enjoy freehand crocheting, enjoy giving things a go, and be brave. Just try. Nothing really bad can happen from it. It's a great hobby. It's just a good time. Anyway, that's this video. How long have we gone for? 8-ish minutes. That sounds about right. So don't want to take up too much more of your time. If you want to see more of these videos, please subscribe, like, whatever you need to do, so that one day you can get to the point where you make a beautiful jumper that just hangs in your living room and looks cute. It's summer here in Queensland, so I haven't really had a chance to wear it. But one day this guy will get taken out. Have a good one. Bye.